Hello and welcome to Falling Into It. This is a podcast where young professionals share their stories and thoughts on the insurance industry as they continue to grow their careers. My name is Zach Ewell, and I am a content specialist and AV producer at Leader's Edge. In this episode of Falling Into It, we meet Chris Senkbile, a 35-year-old founder and CEO of Project Ferro, an insurtech. A graduate from University of Nebraska at Kearney, Chris studied finance. Chris shares how he first got involved working in insurance, what it was like starting a business during the height of the pandemic, and what tech trends he foresees impacting the brokerage industry. Give it a listen. Chris, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the discussion.
Absolutely. I'm thinking we'll just jump into it.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome. So my first question. How did you first get involved working in the insurance industry? Was it something you always wanted to do? I understand you studied finance in college.
Yeah, no, insurance, not at all. Not at all. Not something I always wanted to do. I kind of stumbled into it. In fact, I worked as a traveling kind of sales and business leader for a franchisor and traveled all over the country for about 2 years. And when I wasn't on the road, I'd play pickup basketball, noon ball, at the gym here in Omaha. And over time, got to know a couple of the guys that went up there and got some runs in with me. And they slowly started just talking to me about what they did at the insurance brokerage and, hey, you got to come check this out. And that was really how I got pulled into the vortex of insurance and been here for 8 years. So I work for Unico Insurance Brokerage. We're just made it onto the top 100 list this year, actually. So we're very proud of that. And that's my day job. So that's really where I got the experience working with clients directly is as a large commercial property and casualty broker. And so Unico was really the foundation for my insurance experience, of course, and then really what led to the development of Ferro is directly out of those client interactions.
And was your Unico the first insurance company you worked for?
Yeah. Yep. They sure were. Yep.
Were those the guys that you were playing basketball with?
Those are the guys that were playing basketball. And I will just say, shout out to a few of the folks here. I'm not going to name them because I don't want their heads to get too big, but there's some hoopers at Unico, man. There's some guys who can get up and down the court just fine.
Tell me about Project Ferro. Where did the idea for its conception come from, and where would you like it to go?
Yeah, so like I said, I've worked at Unico, a large commercial P&C brokerage for about 8 years now. Started when I was 27 there. And from day one in insurance, I just couldn't believe how business was transacted, just in terms of legacy systems and the flow of information and data, and then ultimately the client experience, right? And so I felt like I wasn't solving all of my clients' friction points, and didn't see anything in the marketplace that did. So ultimately, the idea came from my day-to-day interactions with my clients. It's a policyholder platform that enables the brokerage and insurance company to collaborate and communicate with their clients and with respect to underwriting data, claims, change requests, billing, everything you can imagine, insurance and risk management related. And we'd like to see it in the hands of every commercial P&C policyholder in the country, and then bring in third-party insurtech into the client's environment with a single sign-on, where we're really thinking about the client experience first, the policyholder first, and what, we talk a lot about brokerage tech stacks, right? And all these different things. What's it look like for a policyholder to have their own tech stack, right? And access to really great solutions that exist out there. So we want to be a conduit for that.
As someone who is marrying insurance with aspects of new technology, is there any blind spots you see upcoming for the insurance brokerage industry? I'm assuming so because I mean you're a part of an insurtech, and a lot of that is about identifying blind spots and
Yeah.
improving the insurance brokerage industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're dead on there. I think the ground is shifting beneath the feet of the traditional broker, in our opinion, my opinion. Clients expect a digitally enabled experience, and they get it in every other financial service, right? So why wouldn't they expect it in insurance? And so I think brokers are going to have to compete with tech and digitally enabled brokerages. And I think the winners are going to be those that have a fanatical focus on the customer experience. So we're seeing that with brokerages like Newfront, skyrocketing almost overnight, it seems, onto the top 100 list. And I think a lot of that has to do with their focus on the client experiment and experience, and digital enablement. So that's where we see really seeing the blind spot is how do we bring the client experience into the 21st century, basically.
As I understand it, you founded Project Ferro during the pandemic last year. Is that correct?
We sure did. Perfect timing.
Yeah. So I want to get into that because that's fascinating to me. Were there any unique problems you had to solve when starting your business directly due to COVID? I mean, I bet the business environment was still not good. It was hard to connect and make new connections.
Yeah, you nailed it. Honestly, it definitely was a challenge. I think, when you're starting a technical company, this concept of lean methodology, right? We're going out, we're meeting with customers, we're hearing what their problems are, we're coming back, to the drawing board and building to spec what they've told us, right? And I think in that environment, there weren't conferences we could go to and meet up with 10 different future ideal customers in a day and get their feedback, right? So that was challenging because things were locked down. And then even within our local community context, for a period of time, obviously we weren't out seeing people in person, and so you're kind of forced to do that via Zoom and make the best of it, and certainly we did. But I think I look at it, and while it was a challenge and maybe not an ideal environment, I think the way I'm wired is to run pretty hard. And I think it's actually a blessing because it really forced me to slow down a little bit and not get out over our skis, too quickly, and really focus on development and really teasing out the problem solution. And in that respect, I think it was a blessing. So.
Sure. No, fantastic. That's very fascinating. I mean, I don't know anybody that started a business last year during the pandemic personally. So kudos to you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, picking it up and running with it.
Yeah.
Another interesting aspect of your career is that you share it with your wife. Is that correct?
I do. Yes, I do.
So what is that like, working with your spouse in a professional environment? I mean, talk about work-life balance. You're starting a company during a pandemic. There's not a lot of places you can go, a lot of working from home. And then on top of that, you're also working with your spouse, who you usually spend your day-to-day with. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I'll tell you, with what you just described, I think that would, end most marriages. So I think that's a testament to my wife. She's not only beautiful, but she's very patient with me, and I've never really understood that, but she is. So the work-life balance thing there is it's a challenge when you're not working with your wife, right? And so I think her mentality, and again, I'm just blessed by her. But when we were getting ready to start Ferro, I called her. I remember like it was yesterday. I said, "Hey, I think I got to do this thing. Like I got to do it. Are you okay with that?" And she said, ride or die, ma'am, like let's do this thing. And so she's been supportive from day one. She actually didn't come over immediately because of course we were balancing ultimately funding and our runway and trying to keep all of that nice and tight. But about a year ago, or I should say about a year later, I came to her and said, hey, really think you could help us. Would you be interested in coming over? And she actually made me work pretty hard for it at the time. She's a negotiator, that one for sure. But I think the cool thing with her and I is, we've got this good flow. We really try and protect our evenings and just moments of time. Yes, we of course work evenings and work weekends in the startup life, but we're pretty intentional about protecting, those periods of time and where we can leave work behind and, just focus on each other and enjoy life a little bit too.
Now, did she have a background at all in insurance, or what was her background going into this?
Yeah, so she's been marketing for her entire career, actually, and no insurance background other than her association with me, which probably actually means she's a little bit closer to it than you might imagine, because I tend to bring work home with me. But no background, but actually we look at that as a major benefit, just in terms of branding and just how we look at marketing and in this space. I think it's a fresh look, fresh set of eyes. And by the way, I should mention, Zach, she's responsible for the name Ferro. She's Portuguese, and we were thinking about what we were really trying to do, right? Improve the client experience and strengthen the client experience. And Ferro in Portuguese means iron. And so that's where Ferro came into play, is from Clara. So all credit to her on that one.
Fascinating. One thing I love learning about insurtechs, and this does not have to do with anything regarding insurance, is that they all have such fun and interesting names. So
oh my gosh, it's so true. Like sometimes I look at them, I'm like, man, I have no idea where that came from, but I like it because it's different, it's
it sticks in your head. So now that story is just going to stick with me. So no, but that's great. Besides Project Ferro, what is the next step, in your opinion, you see in your career?
Oh man, that's so tough to say. What I will say is I look at myself as a problem solver. As I've gotten more into this experience with Ferro, I really look at myself as a problem solver and a value driver. And so since I'm at this point entirely entrenched in the insurance vortex, I really envision myself continuing to push the industry forward, honestly, in whatever way I can, whether that's continuing to be involved at the brokerage level, on the tech side of things, or even insurance company side, is just where problems exist and how can I get engaged in trying to solve them. I think for me, that's where I think the trajectory goes. And my hope is that Ferro is a big part of that for a really long time to come. I think there's a lot of really good we can continue to do with that, but time will tell on that one.
In your professional journey, are there any words of wisdom or motivation that you live by as you continue to develop your career?
I have always felt the best way to help yourself is to help others. And that sounds maybe like a little altruistic, but I think that really the message behind that is, again, tying that in with my desire to solve problems and drive value, is just where can I help people solve problems, whether that's in this context in insurance, that's policyholders or brokerage or company, just where can we help people and solve problems. So I think that's the message that I picked up really early on in my career, and it's served me well along the way.
Sure. So you are from Nebraska and still live and reside and work in the Cornhusker State. How did growing up there impact your outlook on life and business?
Go Skurs, man. Huskers all day. I'm a farm boy, actually. My dad farmed and ran an ag business, and he was the type of guy that, would just bend over backwards for people. And I think, the discipline, hard work, the way, he treated people just taught me a lot about life and engagement. And, I say, 90% is just showing up, right? And I think there's definitely something about having a humble upbringing. And I just try to carry that humility forward with me in everything I do, honestly, and just work hard.
Sure. So you did a lot of physical labor growing up?
Yeah, I tell a story. I think I was driving a stick shift pickup at age 6 by myself.
Wow.
We worked, 12, 14-hour days really from age 6 on. We definitely did. And, so now that I'm in insurance, my dad teases me about being a, kind of a soft paw.
It's funny. The calluses on your hands kind of swelled up.
Yeah, there's really not many calluses left there anymore.
Sure, definitely. Okay, do you have any out of work accomplishments that you're working towards, whether it be a hobby or activity? Like, what do you do with your family, or what do you do by yourself to kind of get away from the work?
So this is kind of an interesting story. Right around when the pandemic hit, Clara got me a guitar. I've always wanted to learn to play the guitar. And early on in the pandemic, because we weren't as far along as we are now with Ferro, and we had a little bit more time, I was actually to a point where I was working on Burning Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. And then Ferro started picking up, and to be honest, I haven't picked up the guitar in probably 6 months. So that's number one for me is a goal, is get that thing going again, and I am absolutely and entirely tone deaf and can't keep a beat, but I love music. So it's a big challenge.
Sure. No, I mean, that's a great song. At least you got good taste.
Yeah, you betcha. Johnny Cash all day.
Well, this has been a fun conversation.
Zach, it was awesome, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely, Chris. The pleasure was mine. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Falling Into It. Please listen to more of our podcasts and content at leadersedge.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on SoundCloud. Until next time, I'm Zach Ewell. Have a good one.